Chapter 45, in which Yu Chung takes the blame for his brother. They bury their parents and speak of geomancy. Yu Ta showed Tu Shaoqing his letter from home, which read, "Some trouble has just cropped up here. Don't come home on any account. I hear you are with our cousin, Tu Shaoqing, so just set your mind at rest and stay on with him. When I've cleared up this business, I'll come to fetch you home." "What can have happened?" said Yu Ta. "Since your brother wouldn't say, you've no way of finding out at present," replied Tu. "Just stay here and you'll know all in good time." Yu wrote to his younger brother, "What is this trouble? Write me a full account at once and I promise not to worry. But if you won't tell me, you'll only make me more anxious." The duck seller took this letter back to Wu Ho and gave it to Yu Chung, who was talking to a runner from the Yamen. Yu took the letter and sent the duck seller off. "This warrant," said Yu to the runner, "is for the arrest of the criminal Yu Chung. I've never been to Wu Wei. Why should I go to the Yamen?" "Who knows if you've been there or not," retorted the runner. "All we Yamen officials can do is find the man who answers to this description. When we take thieves to our Yamen, they won't confess though we clap them in ankle presses. Who will tell the truth straight out?" Then Yu had to go with him. He knelt before the magistrate who was holding court. "I have never been to Wu Wei, Your Honor," he announced. "I know nothing of this affair." "I don't know whether you were there or not," said the magistrate, "but I have a warrant here from Wu Wei. Since you say you were never there, take a look at this." He picked up a dispatch with a red seal on it, and ordered a runner to pass it to Yu Chung. Yu read, "This concerns the acceptance of bribes by the magistrate of Wu Wei. Yu Chung, a senior licentiate who accepted a bribe, is a native of Wu Ho." "I can clear myself, Your Honor," said Yu. "This dispatch asks for the senior licentiate Yu Chung. It'll take me at least 10 years to become a senior licentiate." This said, he returned the dispatch and turned to go. "Just a minute, Mr. Yu," said the magistrate. "I see your point." And he asked his clerks, "Is there another Yu Chung in this county who is a senior licentiate?" "There's a senior licentiate in his family," replied the clerk on duty, "but his name isn't Yu Chung." "This is obviously a mare's nest," put in Yu. He stood up again to leave. "Go home, Mr. Yu," directed the magistrate, "and write me a plea protesting your innocence. Then I shall refute the charge for you." Assenting to this, Yu left. He went out of the Yamen with the runner, and they sat down in a tea-house to drink a pot of tea. Then Yu stood up to go. "Where are you off to, Mr. Yu?" The runner laid hold of him. "I got up bright and early, but I've tasted neither rice nor water, and had to walk all the way from your house to the Yamen. Even if this were an affair of the imperial court, I deserve some consideration. I'll be darned if I go any further with you. The magistrate told me to come out and write a plea. You said in court you're a licentiate. Licentiates write for people all the year round, but you want someone else to write for you. Across the street behind this tea house is a place where you licentiates write your plaints. You can go in there to write." You had to go to a building behind the tea house with the runner, who called to a man inside. "The second Mr. Yu wants to write a plea. You write it for him. He'll draft it himself, then you copy it out and put a chop on it. If he doesn't pay you, so much the worse for me. The fellow in that business yesterday is still shut up in the inn. I'll come back when I've seen him." Yu clasped his hands to greet the clerk, and they saw a man sitting on a bench by the table. He was wearing a ragged headcloth, a tattered gown, and shoes with the soles flapping loose. Yu recognized him as Tang San Tan, a pettifogging lawyer. "So it's you, Mr. Yu," said Tang. "Have a seat." "You're early, third brother Tang," said Yu, sitting down. "Not really," answered Tang. "I got up early to have noodles with the sixth Mr. Fang, and came on here after seeing him out of town. I know all about your business." He pulled Yu to one side and whispered, "Although this is not a case of treason, Mr. Yu, it's bound to come to that. Who doesn't know your good brother is at Nanking? But in cases like this, the established procedure has always been to consider the local verdict as cast iron evidence. The thing is to get the local magistrate on your side, and the magistrate will do whatever the Pings tell him. You better lose no time in calling on the third Mr. Ping to discuss it with him. All the rest of the family are as fierce as dragons and tigers. He's the only good man of the lot. And if you ask his help now that you're in a fix, he may not bear you a grudge for not paying your respects before. He's a kind, open-hearted man. You needn't be afraid. Or, if you like, I'll go with you. Strictly speaking, you ought to have kept on better terms with the local Gendry, but your brother was always too proud. Now that you're in trouble, you've no one you can turn to. Thank you for showing such concern, said Yu. But just now the magistrate told me to write a reply. I'll consider again what to do after I've written my plea, and he sent it in. All right, said Tang. I'll watch you write your plea. Yu wrote it straight away and handed it in at the Yamen. On the basis of this, the magistrate told his clerk to draft a reply to Wu Wei. And the clerk, it goes without saying, demanded money from Yu for paper and brushes. Half a month later, another dispatch arrived, this time with a clear description. The malefactor Yu Chung is a senior licentiate of Wu Ho, of medium height with a white face and thin beard, in his 50s. On the 8th of the 4th month, he was in Wu Wei and met Feng Ying in the guardian deity's temple to hush up a murder case. On the 11th, he went to the prefectural yamen to intercede. After sentence was passed on the 16th, Feng Yang sent a feast to the guardian deity's temple and divided 400 taels between 3 people. Yu Chung received 133 taels as his share. On the 20th, he left the yamen to travel back to Wu Ho by way of Nanking. Since we have proof that he received this bribe, how can you claim there is no such man? This is a murder case, and the law has been flouted. We must trouble your district to look into this, and immediately send the criminal here to us under arrest, so that the case can be closed. This matter is urgent. The magistrate sent for Yu Chung again. This is even easier to answer, said Yu. Let me write a more detailed plea. I beg your honor to be my judge. Having said this, he went home and wrote another plea. You're not going about this the right way, said his wife's brother, Chao Lin Shu. It's obvious your elder brother did this, and now writs are falling right and left like snowflakes. Why take the blame on yourself? You'd much better tell the truth and say your brother is in Nanking now, so that they can send a writ there and you will be cleared. If the baby doesn't cry, the milk doesn't flow. Why lug someone else's coffin to your door and cry over it? I know how to deal with this business of my brother's, replied Yu. Don't worry about me. I wouldn't mention this otherwise, said Chao. But your brother's temper is so bad he's always offending people. Take the 3rd Mr. Fang of Benevolent Fortune shop, or the 6th Mr. Fang of Benevolent Greatness shop. 2 of the biggest men in Wu Ho. They're on the same footing as Magistrate Wang, yet your brother will insult them. A day or 2 ago, the 2nd Mr. Fang became engaged to one of the daughters of the 5th Mr. Ping, who's just passed the metropolitan examination. They say Magistrate Wang was their go-between, and the wedding has been fixed for the 3rd of next month. This business is sure to be mentioned at the feast. The 5th Mr. Ping won't have to describe your brother's fault straight out. One hint will be enough for the magistrate. And if Magistrate Wang cuts up rough, he'll say you've been sheltering your brother, and that'll be awkward for you. You better take my advice. I'll send in another plea first. If they press me hard, I can tell them the truth. Surely you can ask the 5th Mr. Ping to help. Let's wait a little, answered Yu with a smile. When Chao could not convince him, he went away. Yu sent another plea to the yamen, and with this to go on, the yamen wrote in reply, The dispatch from your honorable prefecture read, The malefactor Yu Chung is a senior licentiate of Wu Ho, of medium height with a white face and thin beard, in his 50s. On the 8th of the 4th month, he was in Wu Wei and met Feng Ying in the guardian deity's temple to hush up a murder case. On the 11th, he went to the prefectural yamen to intercede. After sentence was passed on the 16th, Feng Ying sent a feast to the guardian deity's temple and divided 400 taels between 3 people. Yu Chung received 133 taels as his share. Since we have proof that he received this bribe, how can you claim there is no such man? This is a murder case and the law has been flouted. We must trouble your district to look into this and send the criminal here to us under arrest so that the case can be closed. This matter is urgent. As soon as our county received this, we sent for this licentiate. According to his plea, Yu Chung is of medium height, has a pock-marked face and a slight beard, and is 44. He is still a stipendiary and not a senior licentiate. On the 8th of the 4th month this year, the examiner went to Feng Yang. On the 9th he offered incense. On the 10th he issued a notice. On the 11th he examined the licentiates of 8 counties. This licentiate Yu Chung took the examination. On the 15th the results were announced and he had passed. The next day Yu Chung took the second examination and passed second in the second class. On the 24th he saw the examiner off, then came back home to study. How could he be taking a bribe in Wu Wei when he was taking the examination at Feng Yang? We checked his evidence with our school records, and it is a fact that he took the examination at Feng Yang. Therefore, he could not have gone to Wu Wei to receive a bribe. Thus, we cannot arrest him. We suspect some scoundrel has been using Yu Chung's name and are reporting this to you so that you can look elsewhere for the culprit and close your case. After this dispatch was sent off, no more was heard from Wu Wei. Yu Chung felt relieved of a crushing load and wrote to recall his brother. When Yu Ta reached home, he wanted to know exactly what had happened. "I owe a great deal to you, brother," he cried. "How much silver did you have to spend at the yamen?" "Never mind about that," replied Yu Chung. "We can use that silver you brought to prepare for the burial." A few days later, the brothers agreed to call on Chang Yun Feng, the geomancer. It so happened, however, that a relative invited them to a feast. Therefore, having paid their respects to Chang Yun Feng, they went to their relative's house. There were no outsiders invited, only 2 cousins of theirs, Yu Fu and Yu Yin, who made haste to bow when the 2 Yu brothers came in. They sat down and exchanged news. "Magistrate Wang is feasting today with the second Mr. Peng," said Yu Fu. "He hasn't arrived there yet," said their host from the lower end of the table. He has only just sent the necromancer with his card. "The 4th Mr. Peng is going to be the chief examiner," said Yu Yin. "I hear that the other day, when he left court, the emperor cuffed him for making a slip in his speech." "I doubt if he made any slip," said Yu Ta with a laugh. "Even if he did, the emperor would be too far away to hit him." No, Yu Yin turned red. "He's a high officer now, the chief academician of the Hanlin Academy, in charge of the Crown Prince's household. He stands in the inner pavilion of the Great Assembly Hall to give advice every day. If he had said something wrong, of course the emperor would cuff him. Do you think the emperor is afraid of him?" "When you were in Nanking," said their host to Yu Ta, "did you hear that the mayor of Nanking had gone to Peking?" Before Yu Ta could answer, Yu Fu said, "The 4th Mr. Peng was responsible for that too. One day the emperor asked whether it wasn't time for the mayor of Nanking to be changed. Since Mr. Peng wanted to recommend his fellow student Tang Sao, he said yes. But he didn't want to offend the mayor, so he wrote him a letter at once, inviting him to court for an audience. That's why he's gone to Peking." "Hanlins can't decide the appointment of high officials," said Yu Chung. "I doubt the truth of this tale." "That's what Magistrate Wang himself said the day before yesterday when he was feasting at Benevolent Greatness shop," retorted Yu Yin. "It must be true." Just then the feast was served. There were 9 dishes: cauliflower with meat, fried carp, chicken with rice, omelette, prawns with onions, preserved ginseng, melon seeds, pomegranates, and dried bean curd. A sealed jar of wine was also brought in, piping hot. When they had drunk for some time, their host went inside to fetch a red cloth bag tied with a red cord containing clods of earth. "I asked you here today," he said to Yu Fu and Yu Yin, "to judge the soil on this hill. I don't know whether it'll do or not." "When was this soil taken?" asked Yu Chung. "The day before yesterday," replied their host. Before Yu Fu could open the bag, Yu Yin snatched at it. "Let me look first," he said. He grabbed it, took out a clod of earth, put it in front of him, cocked his head to the right to look at it, then cocked his head to the left to look at it. Finally, he broke off a piece, put it in his mouth, and started chewing hard. After chewing for some time, he passed a clod to Yu Fu. "What do you think of this earth, fourth brother?" he asked. Yu Fu took the clod and turned it over under the light. He examined first the top side, after that the bottom side, then broke some off and put it in his mouth. Shutting his mouth and closing his eyes, he munched slowly. After munching for some time, he opened his eyes and sniffed hard at the clod. He sniffed for a while. "This soil is no good," he announced. "Can it be used for a grave?" the host asked eagerly. "No, it can't," replied Yu Yin. "If you bury someone in this, you'll bankrupt your family." "I've been away for over 10 years, said Yu Ta. I didn't realize you two were such experts on soil." "I can speak frankly to you," said Yu Fu. "There's no arguing about the soil my brother and I have tested." "Which hill is this from?" asked Yu Ta. "From his fourth uncle's grave." Yu Chung indicated their host. "They're thinking of moving the grave." "We didn't find this site," replied Yu Yin. "The plot we found is at 3-Point Peak. Let me show you what it's like." He moved aside 2 of the dishes, dipped his finger in the wine jar, and traced a circle on the table. "See there? That's 3-Point Peak. The vein starts a long way away. It begins in the mountain at Puko, a peak, a ridge, a peak, a ridge, a peak, a ridge. It twists and turns and rolls right along to Chow Family Hill in our district. For all the world like a dragon sprawling across the valley. Then another peak, another ridge, and it rolls through dozens of ridges to form a figure. That figure is called the lotus emerging from water. The servant brought in 5 bowls of noodles, and their host offered them vinegar, then heaped their bowls with cauliflower and meat. They picked up their chopsticks and ate. When Yu Yin had had about enough, he took 2 noodles and twisted them on the table into the shape of a dragon. Then he opened wide his eyes. "This plot of ours will produce a number 1 graduate," he declared. "If you make a grave there, and you come second only in the examination, you can pluck out both my eyes." "Are you sure this place will bring good luck?" asked their host. "It certainly will, right away," replied Yu Fu. "You won't have to wait many years. Just touch it and you'll prosper," declared Yu Yin. You'll find that out as soon as you've moved the grave there." "Not long ago in Nanking," said Yu Ta, some friends were saying the only criterion in choosing a burial site is one's parents' comfort. All that talk about prosperity for the descendants can't be relied on." No, replied Yu Fu. "If the parents are snug, of course their sons will prosper." "No, indeed," cried Yu Yin. "Look at the Ping's graveyard. A dragon's paw is resting on their father's left arm. That's why the 4th Mr. Ping was given that slap the other day. Do you deny that it was a dragon's paw? If you don't believe me, first brother, I'll take you there tomorrow to see for yourself." After a few more cups, they got up and thanked their host. Then a servant with a lantern lighted them back to Yu Family Lane, and each went home to sleep. The next day, Yu Ta asked his brother, What do you think of what our cousins said yesterday?" "It sounded all very fine, but they didn't study under proper masters. We'd better consult Chang Yun Feng." "You're quite right," agreed Yu Ta. The day after that, they invited Chang to a meal. "You gentlemen have always been good to me," said the geomancer. "Of course I'll do my best, now that you have consulted me about your parents' burial." "We are poor scholars," replied Yu Ta. "We hope you'll be kind enough to overlook any lack of respect." "All we want is to bury the old couple decently," said Yu Chung. "That is why we are asking for your help. We aren't interested in becoming rich or noble. So long as the ground is dry and warm, and there are no ants or wind, we shall be most grateful to you." Chang promised to do as they asked. A few days later, he found a site beside their ancestral graveyard. The Yu brothers went with him to the hill to inspect the ground, then brought it from the owner for 20 taels, and asked the geomancer to choose a date. One day, before Chang had chosen a date, and when they had nothing to do, Yu Ta brought 2 caddies of wine and 6 or 7 dishes, intending to have a good talk with his brother. That afternoon, however, they received a note from the 4th Mr. Yu, who lived on the main street. "I have prepared a simple meal for this evening," wrote Yu Liang. Please come over for a chat. Don't refuse now." "Very well," said Yu Ta to the servant. "Give our respects to your master. We shall come." As soon as the servant had left, a native of Suchow, who was a brewer here, sent a messenger to invite them both to the brewery for a bath. "This fellow Ling must be asking us to a meal too," said Yu Ta. "Let's go to Ling Feng first and then to you." When they reached Ling's gate, they heard shouting and cursing inside. Because the brewer's family was not here, he hired 2 big-footed countrywomen and was carrying on with both of them. All the men in Wu Ho are accustomed to sleeping with these big-footed maids. Even at feast in respectable families, when this custom is mentioned, people laugh till their eyes are slits, thinking it is a great sport and nothing to be the least ashamed of. But the 2 maids in Ling's house had grown jealous. Each suspected the other of getting more of their master's money, and through jealousy started scrapping. They made a clean breast of things, both admitting to sleeping with the assistant, and the assistant joined in the quarreling too. After smashing all the bowls, plates, and dishes in the kitchen, the maids with their big feet kicked over all the tubs. Instead of the feast in the bath they had expected, the Yu brothers spent a long time as mediators. They took their leave of their host. Ling, much embarrassed, poured out 1,000 apologies, and promised to invite them another day. Then the 2 brothers went to Yu's house, only to find the feast there at an end and the gate closed. "Let's go home," said Yu Ta with a laugh. "We shall have to eat our own feast." Yu Chung laughed too, and going home together they called for the wine. But the 2 caddies of wine and 6 dishes had been finished by their wives. There was only an empty pot and some dishes left. "We had 3 feasts today, but weren't able to eat one," said Yu Ta. "This proves that every bite and sup is predestined." Laughing, they made their supper off pickled vegetables and rice, and after a few cups of tea, each went to his room. At the 4th watch, there was a great shouting outside. Startled from their beds, the brothers saw that all outside the window was red. A fire had broken out across the street. They bundled on their clothes and hurried out to ask neighbors to help them carry their parents' coffins to the street. 2 houses were burned, but by dawn the fire was extinguished. Now the coffins were in the street, and tradition in Wu Ho had it that if a coffin had been carried into the street, and you took it back into the house, your family would be ruined. So all their friends and relatives urged them to carry the coffins to the hill and choose a day for the burial. "When we bury our parents," said Yu Ta to his brother, "we must naturally do the thing properly. Announce it in the temple, sacrifice to bid farewell to their spirits, and invite all our kinsmen and friends. How can we take it so lightly? I propose that we carry the coffins back into the main hall, and choose a day for the interment later." "Of course," replied Yu Chung. "If anyone is ruined, it'll be us." They turned a deaf ear to all arguments and called men to carry the coffins back into the hall, until Chang Yun Feng should select a day for their burial. They were careful to conform with all etiquette. On the day of the interment, relatives came from all over the district, and several of the two family from Tianchang arrived. In Wu Ho, however, this was the talk of the town. "The Yu brothers are growing dafter and dafter," they said. "To do something like this is simply asking for trouble." But to know what followed, you must read the next chapter.